of the 15th of July, 2020. As usual, I'm going to read our checklist ahead of time. As chair of the Board of Selectmen, I find that due to the state of emergency declared by the governor as the result of the use of COVID-19, as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, in accordance with the governor's emergency order number 12, pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, this public body is authorized to meet electronically. Please note that there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to this meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the governor's emergency order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, I am confirming that we are A, providing public access to the meeting by telephone with additional access possibilities by video or other electronic means. We're utilizing YouTube live stream for this electronic meeting. All members of the board have the ability to communicate contemporaneously during this meeting through this platform, and the public has access to contemporaneously listen and, if necessary, participate in this meeting by dialing through the following phone, 603-236-4730, or by clicking on the following website address, www.watervillevalley.org. And are we also using text today? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, so the text number is 603-254-6708. We are also B, providing public notice of the necessary information for accessing the meeting. We previously gave notice to the public of the necessary information for accessing the meeting, including how to access the meeting using Zoom or telephonically. Instructions have also been provided on the website of the town at www.watervillevalley.org. C, we are providing a mechanism for the public to alert the public body during the meeting if there are problems with access. If anybody has a problem, please call 603-236-4730 or email at townofwb@watervillevalley.org. D, we will adjourn the meeting if the public is unable to access this meeting. In the event the public is unable to access this meeting, the meeting will be adjourned and rescheduled. Please note that all votes that are taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call vote. Let's start the meeting by taking roll call attendance. When each member states their presence, please also state whether there is anyone in the room with you during this meeting, which is required under the right to know law. And this is Margaret Turner, and I am joining this meeting from my home in Waterville Valley, and I'm alone.
This is Rich Rita, Vice Chair. I am alone.
Mike Aarons, I'm alone.
All righty. All right, so we have called to order. The first thing on our agenda is COVID-19 update. You want to lead that, Mark, please?
Yes. So the major COVID-19 related items right now revolve around the recent or last night's governor's release of the school reopening guidance for the state, and the school board will be taking that up at their meeting at 4 p.m. tomorrow, which we have posted the contact information for their Zoom meeting. With regards to the town, the only change that we have had in our operations is over at the post office. The United States Postal Service has changed their requirements on wearing masks, so that it is now required in all U.S. post offices for masks to be worn while the customer is inside. So now, instead of being just recommended to wear a mask here in Waterville Valley to go into the lobby area of the post office, you must wear a mask to go in. That's a U.S. Postal Service regulation now. So Dave or Chris, public safety wise, anything?
I have nothing new to report.
We had a few questions regarding law enforcement role in enforcing social distancing and mask wearing, and we just wanted to point out that Town Square is private property, and that in the outdoors here in town, there's no mandate to wear masks. So on a place like the beach, it is recommended for mask wearing if you cannot properly socially distance. And that distance is 6 feet, as we all know. So we want people to follow those guidelines. But as far as calling us, and correct me if I'm wrong, Chris or Dave, but as far as calling the police or anything like that, it is not something that is a requirement here in town, except in the post office and in a private business. If they have posted their place of business as mandatory mask wearing, they can do that.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that's correct. We're not in a position to enforce any recommended mask wearing, and it is totally up to the private business to enforce their own rules when it comes to mask wearing or socially distancing.
Okay.
Also, if it becomes an issue where if they're not compliant and then they were asked to leave, then we can become involved if they refuse to leave. But we're not in the business of enforcing the wearing of masks in town.
Okay.
I think-
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Margaret.
I just think that was something that a lot of people had asked about, mostly because they had seen a lot of people on the beach not wearing masks, particularly over the July 4th holiday. And I think we did have some rather large family groups on the beach. However, their requirement or the recommendation, if you are in your family group, doesn't have any social distancing requirement. It's when you're not in your family group.
Right.
And the other thing I would say is, I think we have to remember that people have various levels of concern about others' behavior and various levels of tolerance. My own feeling is I'm really not interested in being out in the crowd. And if I get someplace where it looks like somebody is going to be closer than 6 feet to me, I think about whether I'm going to go back there, particularly on a crowded weekend. My observation is that while I did see a lot of people that did not have masks on in Town Square, which, as we said, is a private area, private property, none of those people attempted to approach me or be closer than the recommended social distance. So that part of things did not bother me. But there are some people who are very concerned about that in town, and my recommendation is if you're highly concerned about that, then I think the best thing for you to do is to wait until it's not quite so crowded and then make your stop at the post office or at Jugtown or that type of thing. I don't know whether anybody else has something to say on the subject.
Well
Yeah,
said.
I would, no, go ahead, Chris.
I was just going to say, well said, Margaret.
Oh, thanks, Chris. Yeah, Rich.
Yeah, I'll second what Chris said. I think also there may be an expectation by some in town that we as selectmen, as representing the town, could pass some sort of ordinance mandating masks. However, I don't think that's as easy as it sounds. There are only 2 or 3 towns in New Hampshire which have gone that route, and Nashua being the largest, and I believe that is in court at this point in time. the judge is allowing the town to enforce such a mandate, but the judge has not ruled whether or not that comports with the power of a town, all power of which, of course, comes from state legislature. And that's where it gets very murky, because this is suggested, strongly suggested by the governor via an emergency order and associated executive orders. There's been no legislative authority that I'm aware of that allows us as a select board to mandate the wearing of masks. I could be wrong, I'm not a lawyer, but I think there is that expectation that we should be more proactive in the matter.
Right. The other thing I've always said right along, and I think there are a lot of people who live in Waterville Valley who spend part of their year here, is that one of the nice things about being here is that it is possible to socially distance without losing social contact with people. I mean, it's just a function of how many people there really live in town and how spread out we are around town. So that's a blessing. I feel blessed to live here under those kind of circumstances. So, Brooke, I'm curious whether anything has come up with camp and that kind of thing and the procedures you're doing.
Nope, we haven't had any questions or problems in regards to that. Our campers are wearing their masks in the areas where they can't socially distance or it's required, like when they are going through the athletic club lobby or when they're in our lobby actually passing other groups, they'll wear them. We haven't had any problem in regards to that.
Okay, great.
Good.
Okay, anything else on COVID, Mark?
Nope, that's all I have, Margaret.
Okay, great. Good update, thank you. Privilege of the floor. Do we have anybody who has called in, texted, or emailed? Well,
Nothing up here, no phone calls.
Okay. All right, then we'll move down on our agenda to reviewing and approving the minutes of the June 24th regular meeting. I was not present at that one, so I'm going to let Rich and Mike take it away.
I've only got two. We can go through them very quickly here. Line 115, remove the after review.
Okay.
And line 186, change there to its.
Do you have anything, Mike?
Yeah, I've got some substantive questions.
Okay.
In lines 64 through 66, 67, we talked about taking the money we got from the insurance company for the heating system and putting it on the agenda for this week, and I don't see it on the agenda.
Sorry,
I
Mike,
wrote down.
I missed that. Sorry.
I
Okay.
wrote that down.
What?
I wrote that down as something to make sure we covered.
Okay, the line 63, 64, we talked about the insurance settlement we got on the faulty heater in the water treatment plant. And it was supposed to be an agenda item to put that money, kind of lock it away for that use only. So we need to get to that on the agenda for later.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, then line 84, it should be sign a COVID waiver, because it doesn't tell you what kind of waiver the people in the parade were doing. And the other one was on the census, lines 151 through 153. I think we need to qualify that, I had mentioned that in going into a lot of these empty condominiums, there were a lot of census things stuck on the door. So that is not that we're not getting back to people and we had very low participation. We had just a lot of census were sent to people here who aren't full-time residents, who aren't in the unions. So just something to qualify to say that it wasn't that we didn't participate, it was just there was a lot of people who weren't here to get it because of, not being able to travel up here or be here. That makes sense at all?
Well, we also want to encourage the people who are here to respond
Oh,
because.
no, I've got that, but I did bring that up in the last meeting, that there were a lot of empty units that had census hung on them where people
Oh,
haven't been up.
okay,
That's the
okay.
point I'm trying to make. It's
Got
not
it.
that our people are ignoring it. A lot of these units haven't had any people here.
Any people here? Okay.
And, that's it for me.
Okay,
I have one other thing. On line 55, 56, can we confirm that we will have a COVID update on July 29th, or if we move strictly to written updates?
Well, that's up to you. There really isn't anything, short of some spike or some change in the current situation. Chris, can you think of any reason why we would have to do an update on the 29th? Or can we wait till the 12th?
I think you're right. I think if there's any significant change, we should. But it's been pretty much status quo for the last couple weeks outside of the 4th of July activities we had. So I think it's redundant to keep doing it unless there is a significant change.
I think
Okay,
it's,
so, go
yeah,
ahead, Margaret.
I think it's important to communicate how people can get their information. I know we have over communicated on this subject, but we should reinforce again, they can always contact Town Square or our town offices with a question, or direct their question to public safety, or any of those kind of things. And if we have something significant that we feel we need to do face-to-face, we'll announce the COVID meeting. And if we don't, or if we have some minor things, we will probably do it by a posting on the website or on Facebook or Department of Public Safety, whatever. We'll do it in a less formal way if that happens.
Yeah, that would be a good update for these minutes for the COVID section, just to close that loop, I think.
Right.
Okay, and we'll also talk about it at the community meeting, and we can even do a quick article for the wigwag, because that'll be due this week.
Right. Right. Okay, can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the June 24th, 2020 regular meeting as edited?
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the June 24th meeting as amended.
That would be Rich Rita.
And that would be Rich, thank you.
I have a
Mike, I'll
second.
second.
Okay, all in favor?
Mike, aye.
Rich, aye.
Margaret abstain.
Okay.
Okay, on to the financial report.
Okay, you have a copy in your packet of our current revenues and expenditures. As I indicated, the recreation number under revenues does not include the grant which we received. And we will vote on that later in the meeting. Nothing else at this time. None of the departments are really in any concerning way. Wastewater is mostly at this point due to chemicals and some operations associated with their breakpoint chlorination. So that's not really out of the ordinary. The revaluation of property is all of the work for the annual update that they did between April and May to get values put into the system prior to the first tax bill.
And And Mark, just, somebody asked me about this. When is the appeal date if you got your first tax bill and said that doesn't look right to me?
Wait until we send you the second tax bill. And then you have from the due date, which will probably be around December 1st, until March 31st to file an abatement.
Okay,
No, March.
all right. And do we wait until March 31st to review all the abatements?
Yes, you usually do, yes.
All right, thank you.
Or March, I'm sorry,
I
March
think it's March
1st,
1st.
not
March
3rd.
1st.
March
Okay.
1st, sorry.
That was probably me. Okay, anything else on the budget, financial report?
Not if you don't have any questions.
Okay. All right, department head reports. What's going on, public safety?
Well, we're, again, as I said in the previous weeks, we're slowly getting back to our equity levels, normal equity levels. We're seeing a lot of groups coming into town, big families. The Black Bear has been pretty busy. Lots and lots of hikers on the trails. Last Sunday, I believe, there was a carryout off of Osceola. And we were lucky enough that Fish and Game had enough people and the Pemmy Search and Rescue team was up there. So our only role was to transport the young lady to the hospital. So we're getting a lot of help from Fish and Game in that respect, dealing with the hikers. Our Tip 411 app is kicked off and we get some pretty good response. And I don't know if Dave wants to add anything to that, but we've been working on that and we have a lot of people signed up already. So that's going along well. And we're working through some personnel shortages and that's going well for now. We'll see what happens down the road. Other than that, I don't know if Dave wants to add anything.
No, that was about it. We're just really pushing the public safety app as the replacement of Nixle. Nixle's still up and running. We'll kind of have it as a redundancy for any emergency community alerts, but the biggest one will be trying to push most people to download the app. That's the easiest way. The newest thing that we have, it's not only the community alerts, but the anonymous tips now. We're able to get anonymous tips directly through the app, or if you text WFEE PD tip to 847-411, we'll get any tips, and you can do it through the website. If you sign up for a free account, you can do it through the website, through the account, or through the app. And so we're just really encouraging a lot of folks. We're looking to put an advertisement in a wigwag for the next couple issues, trying to encourage people to sign up. And I'll be telling more people about it in the next issue.
Okay, guys, I'm curious, did we have to take the ambulance up to the Osceola trailhead?
We did. And
Oh,
yeah, it wasn't a pleasant ride for the ankle injury coming out. You know, we do the best we can, but yeah, it went up there.
okay. All right.
Yeah.
Mike,
I've got something more on bikes. You know, I think one of the issues we get back to every year is trying to get the bike shop to talk more and more to the people taking these bikes about basic rules of the road. But what I'm finding, aside from our rental bikes, I'm finding people who are here on vacation or property owners or children of property owners all over the place on bicycles and really not trying to get into some lane or getting away from the center of the road, where I mentioned to somebody the other day nicely, which I can do, just, hey, you're blocking the lane. Maybe you should get in one single file. And I didn't get the finger, but I got the looks. And there were 3 cars behind them coming the other way. They just didn't care. So I don't know what we do about marking, maybe talking to some of these groups, you know, and this wasn't from the bike rental places. These were people who are newly here for the summer, maybe.
Yeah, we're out there a lot correcting people. State law is they're supposed to stay as far to the right as possible. So it's like herding cats sometimes. And I think you're right, Mike. Maybe some signage, cyclists stay to the right, or something like that. But we do take corrective action every time we see people doing that stuff. But again, like you say, it's not something that you'd call the police and say this guy was riding. I think it's education, and it's just getting word out. I think our problems will be much less once we start to incorporate some of these revamping these paths and the center. So we'll see what we can do.
Okay. All right, anything else for public safety? Okay, let's move on to Breck.
Hello. We are in our second week here of camp, halfway through. Everything is going really well. The groups are all moving, around separately of each other. We are able to have partnerships with the tennis center, the athletic club, so the kids can go swimming. Using the tent on the field a lot, the beach, they're doing a lot of really fun stuff, and it's going really smoothly so far. The staff is really engaged, and the kids are still just beaming to be here. So it's going well. We've added Tuesdays to our boat rentals. So now we're open from 10 to 5 on Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday. We have various hikes being advertised. We haven't had much luck with people signing up for those yet. We had one go out to Tecumseh. That was a group that came up from down south. But we continue to try to advertise those, including the history walk that Preston Conklin came up with, which has a couple people signed up for it I think it's Sunday. But anyway, we're still pushing those. We still have pickleball happening. And the movies, the first week it was about 30 people. The next week it was about double. So that was successful. Things are going pretty well right now, and we're very busy with all the things. So.
Great. Any questions for Brooke?
Yeah. What kind of capacity are you running the boats at without let's knock out 4th of July, because there was a lot of people in town square. Midweek, what kind of capacity are you not going?
I don't have that number off the top of my head. I'd have to look. I know that there's a lot more cash sales this summer.
No, I get that, but of the equipment we're using, I'd like to see what percentage of the time it's being used. And are we going through all the life jackets we bought, the extra ones, just so we know?
Right. So that's a great question. That is one of the reasons we were able to add Tuesdays, because we felt that we weren't going through them, and we had that 48-hour window from Sunday to Tuesday.
No, I get that, but are we over? My concern is staffing levels and things like that. Do the revenue from boats, does that show up as parks this year? Or is that revenue?
Yeah, it's actually under the parks, and there's
Okay.
two lines for it. One which is Freedom Pass, and one which is the cash income.
Right. No, I've got you on that. And the other question is, why do you think we are not being successful with the hikes, and what can we do to really push it? Think out of the box. Are you working on ideas?
Yeah, Eric, is working on that. That's sort of, he's been trying to create these programs that might, like geocaching and some other programs that would appeal to people. I think a lot of our regulars that we had, say, pre-COVID are just not interested. And I'm not necessarily saying that because it's COVID related, but we're not seeing those people.
But are we seeing the tourists? The reason we came up with this was to provide an attraction which would bring new people to Waterville Valley.
Yeah.
Are we seeing the new people? And where should we be looking for those new people, if they even exist? COVID might have put that out of the market completely.
Well, I think it's hard to tell because of that. I mean, that group that we had come up last week for Tecumseh, that was a group from Ridget, which is that group down in Boston area. I think we'll continue to get people from there, but in terms of what you're asking overall, I just think that it's really difficult with COVID
Mike, there's a couple of things. I mean, right now we've collected, as of this report, only $925 out of the $3,000 we budgeted for those hiking programs and things like that. I'm sorry. Yeah. And then on the waterfront, we haven't received, at least as of this report, we hadn't received any Freedom Pass income yet. Everything that I'm showing on this detail report is underwater cash. And that's $2,000 out of $2,100 out of the $10,000 we budgeted. So
we will be receiving $850 from Freedom Pass for June.
yeah, and that's against the 41,000 that we budgeted. So that's
Of course, those aren't the corrected numbers, but.
no, I get that, but still we're way below.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no.
But going to the point that you said, Brooke, that we are seeing more cash, and that's really where our customers are right now. It's not coming through on the Freedom Pass. And I think you're right, Mike. I don't think we're gonna see, because of COVID, I don't think we're gonna see the numbers in our hiking programs that we were anticipating.
Yeah, I drove through the Notch on the 4th mid-afternoon, and there were state police cars with flashers all over the place. You couldn't park if you wanted to, but it didn't seem to be that abundance that I was expecting. And I haven't seen the trailheads, going down for Smartsbrook as busy as it was earlier in the year.
Right. I think it's much slower.
And also on top of that, I mean, all of that's, a good sort of marker of how many people are interested in hiking, but those people are hiking on their own. They're not hiking with a guided program. So we're kind of dealing with a separate issue, even before COVID. We're looking for people who are willing to pay, who want to be guided, who want it as a social setting. And now you add the COVID piece and people are nervous about that. So we've made some changes to our program. So we're not busing people to the trailhead. We're meeting at the trailhead, or we're meeting in town square and walking from there. So we're trying to make some adjustments, but there's not a lot of people looking for that right now. We are selling a lot of maps, and our guidebook is on schedule to come out in mid-August. So that's exciting, and hopefully that will, I think, be a good boost. We are also working, this should be ready soon, but our website, we have sort of a new look for our website, which will be, more hiking, with a URL that's Hike Waterville Valley. So hopefully that will help a bit with getting word out of what we're offering here.
Yeah, I think, Brooke, you have to continue to work on the groups too. You've been successful in attracting some groups. As a hiker right now, I might go on the Conklin's history thing because I know the Conklins, know the people from the rec department have stayed safe and that kind of thing. But if I was an outsider, I'd think twice about going hiking in a group with other people I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, okay. Thank you, Brooke.
Yeah.
Anything, Brooke? All right, Jim, you're up.
All right. Well, we had a little excitement last week. We had a blown aerator hose in one of the lagoons, and we had to launch our aluminum rowboat in order to get to it and to be able to splice it. So we we were successful with no capsizing, which is a good thing. So, but,
The SS Stinky.
the SS Stinky it still works. But at any rate, we got 2 3/4 inches of rain yesterday. And I'm happy to report that all ditches held and all roads held. So we had no damage that we need to go out and repair. And the really good news out of that amount of rain is the fact that the new trail upgrade held up really well. And there's no damage to it.
Or you would hope it would.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes with the new construction and grass that hasn't taken up yet, you never know. But that's really hardened up, and every time I walk it like daily, and people seem to be enjoying it. So I get a lot of great comments. Other than that, we've just been doing a little guardrail work on West Branch Bridge. We got some stuff fixed down there. We've got a couple of headers we rebuilt, and then just the normal trying to keep up. You know, we got the weather against us, but trying to keep up with roadsides. So we've started mowing roadsides, you know, with the flail mower, and we'll be doing more of that. Things are good. Equipment is good, and we got guys starting to take vacations now. So we are juggling personnel a little bit. So other than that,
Yeah, the new trail really looks nice. I was on that this morning. I walked the full length of it this morning. So when did the lights happen? Is that sometime next year or?
No, it better
hopefully
not.
not.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
Yeah, the lamp posts are on order. When we can expect them, I have not got a satisfactory answer as of yet. The contractor is having trouble with the manufacturer. And I do know that the light fixtures are on order, and I would bet we would have the light fixtures before we have the light posts, so. But everything's ready for it, wires pulled in all the conduit, and so we're just waiting for their arrival.
And Jim, have you gotten compliments for reducing the lights on the bridge?
I haven't heard a word yet.
Have any of you?
I wish I had been over there at night to see the full effect from the past, but I never was, so I don't know what to
Mike,
say.
have you been over there at night?
No,
Rich? No.
yeah.
We'll try to maybe get patrol people to take a picture, Dave, or just
Sure.
see if we can.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just see if we can see if it made any difference.
Okay. Anything for Public Works? Anyone? All right, move on to meeting schedule. Our next meeting is scheduled for August 12th. Everybody's got that on their calendar, yes?
Yep.
And September, I guess we'll be going back to our regular schedule, Mark?
Well, you'll have the 2 meetings per month, and I just didn't know if you have any interest in me looking for a better venue than the downstairs meeting room for your meetings. If you want to go back public, if you want to continue with or make that decision in August, that's fine. However you want to approach it.
I'd go back to our regular schedule, and I think we should wait until the 12th to decide whether we're gonna stay electronic or go live.
Okay.
Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Mike?
All right. Very good.
Okay.
Also on the schedule, the issue about the voting. Well, I guess we got that under new business, so we'll take that up in a minute.
Okay. So if we go down to new business, we need to accept a grant,
Yep.
an
So
award.
From the Department of Health and Human Services, we were awarded a grant of $16,400 for our summer camp programs. This came from the Federal CARE Act funds, which state distributed to child care recovery and restabilization program. That's what the CCRSP means. And this money is a reimbursement of costs associated with the summer camp programs. So we have plenty of expenditures between the tent and the porta potty and some other expenditures that we had. We're going to easily get to the 16.4.
Okay,
You have a decision in either way that you do it, fine. We can either show it as a revenue under the summer camp programs, or you can do it as a direct reimbursement and lower the expenditures. So however you want to report it to the town, because that'll either increase our revenues or it'll decrease our expenditures. I'm okay either way.
what are your thoughts?
My thought would,
Go ahead, Mike.
to reduce our expenditures, I'd like to keep our revenue separate, so we can keep our revenue and show management by reducing expenses.
Fine with me.
Okay,
The impact's the same.
Rich?
Yeah, I'm good with that suggestion, sure.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, I think we don't want to inflate our revenue number at this point because we're having a tough year in there. But to show that we have, I think it was like $25,000 extra, it was gonna cost us to run the program at reduced enrollment. And
Right.
we've just gotten 16,400 of that taken care of. And I think that's where it belongs, is against the extra expenses.
Okay, very good.
Brooke? Yeah, okay. All righty, do we have to make a motion to accept it?
Yes.
And I'm to accept the 16,400 from the CARES Act for our summer camp program.
As a reason against expenses.
Okay,
And, right, and to do it against, and to carry it against our expenses for that camp.
okay. This is Rich. I make a motion to accept the CCRSP funding award of $16,400 and to apply it against expenses.
So Mike, I will second the motion.
All those in favor, Margaret, aye.
Rich, aye.
Mike, aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you.
Election issues.
So I'll just have Sharon jump in if you have any questions about specifics. She along with the moderator and supervisors and the town clerk have been attending all of the webinars and other updates that the Secretary of State's office has been putting out. It's the election procedures are still very much in flux as far as definitive guidance on how to set up the polling place and how to conduct the elections. A couple of things that are pretty well set right now is that at the present time, it doesn't look like the requirements, the selectmen requirements are going to change for either the primary or the general election. So the requirement for selectmen to be, or a majority of the board to be on site during the polling hours and during the counting of the ballots is still in place. And you can either do that in person or you can have a pro tem individual representative. And I put in your packets out of the moderator's handbook, the guidance on the pro tem folks, if you want to use somebody in your stead. The way, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Sharon, the way that we've done it before is that at least a majority of you are there at all times, or your proxies, either one. This is different than the town meeting. This is the general election, so that's why it's a majority. So 2 of you there at a time.
So I think what we've been doing is kind of selecting somebody, or the moderator has been selecting somebody who is not part of the official group that check folks in and that kind of thing, and that person has become the pro tem for the second selectman. I think that's what's been happening.
That's what we've been doing.
Yeah, I know I haven't been bringing somebody on my own, so
Okay.
I'm assuming that's what's been happening. And is our moderator willing to do that still?
Yes. Follow the same procedures.
Right, okay.
So we'll have one of you there at a time then, and then just have a pro tem as the other person.
I don't mind being there for the day. As a political scientist, I kind of find that stuff interesting anyway. So I could be there from, what is it, 11 to 7, and then
11 to 7 right now.
Mike and Mark, you can divvy up the hours as you wish. So 2 of us are always there. If you want to do it.
I usually stay for the end and the counting. So if it's okay with you, Mike, I'll take the latter part of the day,
Sure.
Yeah. 4 to whatever.
Come on, be excited. This is good stuff.
This is democracy in action.
Okay,
Okay,
all right.
so we'll work it out at the next meeting as far as the actual scheduling, but we will have at least one of you there for the day.
Right.
All right, good. And we are gonna, I guess, have quite a bit of use of write-in ballots or mail-in ballots.
Yeah.
That process is being worked out. We are not going to have any drive-through balloting here. We are trying to figure out how people that do not want to wear masks are going to be handled when it comes to voting.
I think the state will have a guideline on that way before it comes to reality.
They are trying to come to grips with that, yes. Yep.
Can people who are physically here in the valley who just don't want to physically vote get an absentee ballot?
Yes.
Yes.
There is actually, the governor was supposed to sign a bill yesterday, at least it was before him, to change the absentee ballot application to have another selection for the reason to be COVID. And
Right.
People can certainly accept that. The present application that's out there is still totally valid and can be used. Someone can simply just write in COVID as their reason on that, and that would be accepted as well.
Okay,
The other change on the application, the absentee application, is that both elections, both the state primary and the general election, you'll be able to use one form for it rather than filing one for the primary and then filing one for the general election. So simple changes that make sense, and it's just pretty much overdue anyway.
and Sharon, how far ahead do you have to get your ballot? And when does it have to be back?
We've been notified, well, the ballots need to be returned by 5 p.m. on the day of the election.
Okay,
But we've already been notified, I already have received an order of envelopes for processing and sending out the ballots. Our ballots, I would expect to be here by August 1st.
okay. All righty, well, interesting times. The polling place could be even lonelier than usual.
It'd be difficult around here, but you might like that.
Yeah.
I anticipate we'll have a pretty good number of absentee ballots. We generally do
Yeah.
anyway, but I think it'll certainly increase, this year.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe we can import some voters, you know,
Sure, why not?
get our numbers up or something.
Don't
Just saying.
even
Well, we
joke
have a lot of new
about
residents, so
that.
we'll all be ready.
You know, I mean, the cemetery precinct, we're not going there.
Don't go there. Don't go there.
Okay, the water, wastewater, trash department numbers, we need to take a look at those. That's
Yeah,
next.
I just wanted to, update you on what we are seeing in water, wastewater, and, trash collection. The actual, dollar amounts on the second quarter when compared to 2019, we were down in our total billing, all three areas, of approximately 2.8%. And that is about almost $4,500 difference. That's a little bit better than we had anticipated. Just not being sure what we were gonna see for usage, especially with the commercials. So from a billing standpoint, we're not doing very bad. Tonnage per month on our trash, January to June, we're down approximately 67 tons, 68 tons, from 2020 compared to 2019. So that is, I guess, not surprising given the commercials were completely closed. However, our trips to Bethlehem were exactly the same number of trips. So volume-wise, or the truck, whether it's cardboard or what's causing the truck to be fuller, it doesn't weigh as much, right? Because the tonnage is down.
Mm-hmm.
But the actual number of trips that are being required are exactly the same. So don't really have an answer for that at this point in time, but you can see on the second page, the second quarter trash collection for selected accounts. The central transfer station, the residential one here by the garage, is up almost 21.5%, 2020 compared to 19. But our commercial accounts are down about 34%. So that's in line with what we're seeing. But I don't know, Jim, is it true that the residential trash weighs less as a general?
As a general rule, because a lot of the, you tend to get more bulk out of the commercial, out of the residentials. You get more volume, less tonnage, generally speaking.
Okay.
Because a lot of the commercials have a lot of food waste, glass,
And glass.
and that type of thing. So your volume would be less, but your tonnage would be more.
So given that our commercial use is down so much, the wastewater influent, that means the water coming out of the sewers into the plant. And actually, I didn't have the numbers for you when I did the packet yesterday, but I had Rob and Dylan look at the water, and the water is tracking exactly along with the sewer. You'll see that we are within 5,000 gallons in 2020 for the first 12 days of July, within 5,000 gallons of last year. And if you recall, last year was a pretty busy summer. So those 12 days are just showing us that we are we are definitely seeing a larger group of people among our residential users. Because 4th of July numbers for actual guests in the valley as far as paying transient guests was way down. And our midweek numbers, if you look at the occupancy report, that also is down, right? That's being made up by everyone who's here full-time now, at least on a temporary basis, but they're here every day of the week. If you look down through those numbers, look at how consistent they are, whether it's a weekend or a weekday midweek. You know, we're getting, you know, that 120,000 gallon days straight across the board. And then it picks up on the weekends. In the long, and then if you look at the monthly totals, you see the same thing. We're pretty consistent for the quarter. We're within 1 million gallons. And for the total year, that equates to what, 1 million gallons would be less than 10%. No, less than 2.5%.
Yeah.
40 million or more gallons. So the thing we need to watch for is post-COVID, if that residential use stays there, and then we put increasing commercial use on top of that, we could stress the operation and maintenance of these 3 areas. Because we're right now at basically the same level as a normal year, but we all know that it's not normal for the actual commercials, especially commercial use of the system.
How are the revenues, Mark, versus?
Well, the revenues are only down that 3%, that 2.8%. And that's because the commercials are not a large segment of our revenues because of the flat rates.
Right. Okay. All right. Any questions?
Do we have any projections? Can they give us on what our additional chemical costs might be if we continue with this trend? And I think this trend will continue, because what I'm seeing here now is the use of these condominiums and second homes are being used by entire families.
Right.
I'm seeing an abundance of teenagers here now, where before you would have one parent staying home with a teenager and the other parent up here with maybe the family would split.
That's right.
So I think that trend is going to continue as long as all these extracurricular activities down south are suspended.
Yes, and I think you're exactly right, Mike, and I will work on those numbers for your August meeting. But I think right now our chemical use is not going, chemicals or our operational electricity, whatever it is for the operating of the plants, is not going to be down, even with the reduced.
Oh no, that's what I mean. How much further up is it going to go?
And now what we'll do is, you know, we'll call it post-COVID just for ease of it, but when the commercial comes back, if it got put on top of where our residential use of the system is right now, what is that going to look like? I think that's
what I'm looking for.
That we should know. Yeah. So we'll work on that for the next questions or thoughts or things, information that you would like to have.
No, but while we're here, we ought to take that vote on the application of the insurance money that we received.
Yeah.
So can I have a motion?
Sure. I'll make a motion that the check we received for payment in payment as a result of the failure of the heating system for the water treatment plant, that entire check be put aside and be designated for a new heating system at the water treatment plant.
Okay. We can do
And I'll
that.
second that, Margaret. All those in favor? Margaret, aye.
Rich, I.
Mike, aye.
Okay, that's unanimous.
Good.
Mark, I did have another question. Over the past couple of meetings, there's been this state warning about how we were gonna be low on water and a drought was coming. Has any of that changed?
The central New Hampshire is now just in an abnormally low classification, which is called drought 0. I don't know what that, so we're in drought level 0. So obviously the rain that we've received has definitely helped the situation. But because of the shower nature, and Jim, correct me if I say something incorrect here, but the shower nature has been kind of hit or miss. We were fortunate here in Waterville Valley that we were able to get some rain, so we definitely have lessened the threat, but we still need to be careful, and we still should move forward, I think, in August and implement those regulations.
Okay. All right. Mark, you want to talk about our meeting with the new news this morning and the stepping stones?
Yeah, did you receive my second email
I did.
with the information, Mike and Rich?
Yep.
Yes, I did.
So as I wrote in the memo, the Sununus did bring us the information about the stepping stone proposed project. I sent you the so they have sat down with the assistant director of the water division of DES, explained to him what their thoughts were, and he told them that they should complete an SPN. Now I've lost the acronym, but it is a permit by notification, statutory permit by notification for 2 sets of stepping stones. The first one would be at the inlet along Snowsbrook, at the inlet to Corcoran's Pond, right by the bridge on Valley Road. And the other would be where the old footbridge is, on downstream of the dam, by the Snowy Owl, between the Snowy Owl and the Conference Center. So we would fill out 2 of these applications, the SPNs, and we would see if DES would approve them, and if they would, then the resort says that they have the equipment, and if we can use some of our manpower and some of their manpower and their equipment, we can install these stepping stones in these 2 locations by the end of August. And the SPN is supposed to be turned around within 5 to 10 days. So if we file these applications immediately, we could potentially, before the end of the month, have them approved and move forward with it. The footbridge and the new landing areas, I think, is a separate issue. So if we could just talk about the stepping stones first, and just, I'm looking for feedback and whether or not you want us to pursue this along with the resort. And if there would be any conditions that you could see to doing this. Thoughts?
I basically told them that as a veteran hiker, I would like the stepping stones to be flat. That was my input on it. I think it's a good idea. I think people miss being able to cross the brook down below. And it's the start of looking at how we cross the brook up above. And that may not be a permanent solution, but I think the fact that the Sununus have come back and they're trying to do something collaboratively with us is a very good thing. So I'm in favor of spending the $50 for the permits.
I agree.
Okay,
I think we can fine tune it once we know if we get the permits.
right.
That's when we should have the real discussion.
Okay,
Yeah, from my point of view, I wonder, putting the stepping stones with the new trail down by the conference center, where the old bridge was, that's going to work apparently with the reconstructed trail.
There's a bunch of questions to this that I would get into it a little bit later on down the road with this. But I think it's worth seeing if we can get them to start a dialogue with allowing us to just reach these pieces of water. You know, before we were told the process to even get anything in there would be almost impossible. So I would see if we can take this baby step, and before we build anything, we would have the real discussion on what we want to see and what's safe and what's viable.
I agree. My only other comment would be, I don't think we want to see stepping stone crossing at the inlet be a substitute for a footbridge there.
Right.
No, I agree with you on all of these things. I just think that for $50 to see how far we can go with this is worth investigating the $50.
I concur. Yeah,
Right.
I concur, and I agree with Margaret. This is a very good sign, and I appreciate Tyrell coming forward.
so I just want to be clear. I'll file the applications. If we get approved, then we're gonna have another meeting.
Yeah, we're gonna have to talk about what the design is and what's it gonna look like, and how the function is gonna be.
Well, but Mike, as part of the application process, you have to tell DES what you're putting in. So if you don't do the design after you get the permit, because you have to tell them what you're doing to get the permit.
I think there's room to tweak whatever design comes in once we get the permit.
I think didn't they give us a design? They basically showed the river with some
rocks in it. But I think we need to talk about the height of the rocks, the distance, how Margaret wants the tops of them flat, to make sure that people can get down to the rocks, which the average hiker can do. Because we don't want to promote this to be something as a walk around thing and have someone out there with someone who doesn't have the ability to handle those rocks. I think is a different thing where it's for a more aggressive hiker. But if someone's saying, oh, we're just going to take a quick walk around the pond, and what if the pond is high or the rain has come in?
Right.
You know, so those are the points that I would try to make.
One of the interesting things, and this is kind of veering over into the topic about the bridge, but I think, Mike, you know, from being on the group that's looking at the trails, that in the past DES has told us, oh, you can't build a bridge down there.
Or we can, but it has to hit such a standard that it would be $250,000.
Yeah, and now all of a sudden they seem to be talking to the Sununus and saying, oh, you want to take, you know, a 50-foot, 60-foot bridge and put it across and have some boardwalks leading up.
Well,
that's like a good idea.
It is. That's what, I'm just getting to the language of the proposal because there's a phrase in here. Just give me a second. Yeah, there's a phrase that I wasn't aware of that is what they're talking about to let us do this. Hold on a second.
The difference between this and the Mad River is that the Mad River Trail was in the White Mountain National Forest.
Right.
That's one of the because the brook and the brook is basically town property. You want to look at it that way, which is why we'd be the people filing.
Right. If what this says is statutory permit by notification, which means that I think that I've never seen the phrase before, but I think statutory permit means is they kind of have to give us a permit. But I could be completely wrong on all my thoughts on this because I've only digested this for an hour.
Well, yeah, it is a very abbreviated permit process. So, and it's because the project itself is supposedly, when they look at it, is so simple and disturbs so
Yeah.
little ground and has such a low impact on the stream that they don't make you go through the entire analysis of the project the way they do with the full application. So we'll apply for it, and I'll tell the Sununus that the selectmen's intent is, if we are approved for this, that we'll have another meeting and settle on specifics for what it looks like.
I think that'd be okay. Yes? Yes, Rich?
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm just a little concerned that I'm not sure if we're talking about a bridge or a boardwalk for the second phase, if I can put it that way. But, you know, the stones, okay, they'll be submerged, I mean, at some point.
And we can do it this year.
Yeah,
The department has said they prefer we do it in July and August of this year. So suddenly they're trying to be helpful, so.
I think all we need is some good signage to let
Yeah.
people know that, you know, it could present a certain risk at certain times.
And we also had a discussion this morning about the trail leading down, particularly, obviously up at the inlet, there's a lot of brush clearing and that kind of thing that is gonna have to happen. But the trail leading down to the stepping stones off of the Snowy Owl needs to be,
Oh, yeah.
it needs to, the footing needs to be different. I don't know whether they're wooden steps
Okay.
or, but it's.
That was the concern I had that I didn't want to get into now, but yeah,
Right.
exactly. How does someone get down to the stepping stones? Because
Right.
it is really sharp
Right.
drop to get to them.
Right, yeah. Okay, and now the bridge. This is, I guess, the town core working group and the Sununus and town are going to get together and discuss this, right?
I guess the core group is, I didn't know if the Sununus were coming to discuss this with us.
They-
Are they,
They would, yes.
They
Are they
said that
planning-
they will participate, yes.
they said they will participate. Does that mean they're coming to our next meeting to talk about this?
Yes,
Okay,
yep, I'm just waiting for Wendy to get the rest of the group to pick a day, and then they've said that they're available and they will come into the Zoom meeting with the town core working group.
okay.
We had a discussion as well about, the engineering, because when we submitted for the Northern Borders grant, that one kind of had the design concept of a cantilevered bridge. So we really need to get some engineering done at some point in time that talks about this bridge that is supposedly acceptable to the DES that would go across that inlet part. So, we may be putting our engineer to work on some of that, but the Northern Borders grant would also cover that amount of engineering. Okay, Mark, is that everything we need to do on that?
Yes, so the vote, if you can, that is that you're authorizing us to submit the 2 SPNs, and then we will schedule a meeting to discuss final design.
Okay, I move that we authorize Mark to submit the SPNs for the 2 stepstone crossings of the Mad River, Snowsbrook. Snowsbrook. And also advise the Sununus that we would like to meet with them once the permits are approved to talk about final design, safety, those things.
Okay.
Can I have a second?
This is Rich. I second Margaret's motion.
All right. All those in favor? Margaret, aye.
Rich, I.
Mike, aye.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, personnel policy, Mark,
Yeah, I did not get it done, Margaret. I gotta move
Okay.
that to August.
move that to August. Mark, another thing, this is probably under old business, so I'll mention it now since we're going that way. The town school agreement, did that go forward?
Yes, that's signed.
Everybody's all signed?
Mhm.
Okay. I know the school board is meeting tomorrow to talk about school opening, what they can do, how they can do it, that type of thing. The interesting thing at the community meeting on Tuesday is that Gail says they now have more new students than they have current students. They're up to like 25, 26 people and maybe 28.
I think you're gonna see a lot more, Margaret. A
Yeah,
lot of people who are coming to the valley are finding out that their Massachusetts schools are not going to be in session, and they figure if they're gonna do remote learning, they'll do it up here with a chance that the kids can go to the Waterville school, or even if they're remote learning in Massachusetts, they can be outside in Waterville instead of outside in the suburbs of Boston.
yeah. So, and Mark, what's our population up now since the beginning of the year? Our residents?
What was it, 60?
It's about at 450 right now, 460.
450?
No,
So-
462 as of today, and that's probably about 18 to 20 new households.
Okay. Okay, so
And a lot of the.
strange benefits from a deadly virus. What can we say about it, you know? Yeah. Okay. Ice Arena update.
So Fred updated the community meeting, yesterday. Hockey has been deemed by Massachusetts to be a high-risk sport. They are allowing practices only for hockey teams. So there will be no games allowed in Massachusetts for youth hockey. There are a lot of Massachusetts teams that are looking for ice time in New Hampshire rinks, because that's the only way they're going to be able to play games. So as Fred said, it'll be interesting to see what the governor's reaction is to that, and to see whether or not New Hampshire will allow that to happen with those Massachusetts teams coming into play. And then resulting from that, what is going to be the impact on New Hampshire arenas? They are trying to get their repairs done so that they can open more than they had planned to open, whether that's over the summer or whether that's earlier in the fall. They are trying to get the refrigeration squared away so that they can open sooner. I don't know if they'll be successful, but we'll have to see. Fred, after the meeting, also emailed me, and I attached the email in your packet. His only question on the lease document was about the 180 consecutive day use constituting the season. And I think we had talked about that in the past, but I'm not sure if you guys were okay with the change of definition.
I'm really confused on this because I went back and looked at the original document and it talks about 120 days, not 180.
Well, that's his, so he is asking to expand the 120 days to 180. So if they have a more condensed season, can they have a 180-day period instead of a 120-day period where they don't have ice in and still constitute that as enough ice arena use. Remember they had the question about whether they could bring more dry floor events in?
But how does expanding the 120-day requirement to 180 give them more dry time?
Because that's the length of time of ice out. It's not the length of the season that they have ice in. They want 180 days to be able to have dry floor in there.
Okay, that's not what I read in the, I don't know, is anybody else confused about this?
I've got to reread the lease.
Hmm?
I've got to
Yeah,
reread the lease.
Back out and read it, and it seemed to imply that a season consisted of 120 consecutive days. And that the other time could be used as dry floor time. So the reason I'm confused is I'm not sure why he's asking for a longer seasonal period and less dry time.
No, well, and that's why I think it's opposite of what you're thinking, Margaret, is that
Okay,
they could not have more than 120 consecutive days of
Dry time.
dry time.
Yeah.
Okay,
okay,
or it wouldn't be considered an ice arena. So what he wants is he wants to expand that to 180 and still have it considered as an ice arena.
okay. Well, I understand that, if that's what he's asking. Rich, Mike, what do you think about that?
Let the attorney look at it and get back to us.
Okay,
That could be considered a fundamental change. And we could just go back to them and ask what the reasoning for that change is.
Yeah, it sounds like they're looking for more flexibility, but I agree with Mike. I think I understand what they're asking, and it's a question of giving them more flexibility, that's it. But if it's a fundamental change, then we ought to at least know that before we move forward.
they'd have an opportunity here, if they're able to open properly and keep things safe, and that is a big if when it comes to hockey stuff, because there's so much physical contact and so much snot flying around. But I don't believe that Plymouth is necessarily going to open their arena. I think they are going to keep that as a possible surge site for the foreseeable future. So.
Well, their league is not having, well, they've canceled all fall sports and they're
Right.
towards canceling all winter sports, so.
It canceled everything.
Yeah, I have a feeling we might see everything canceled.
Yeah, everything, no silver
Yeah.
performances, no concerts, nothing. So, yeah. Yeah, they're also offering in selected departments in PSU the opportunity to retire on a package. Not all departments, just some departments. So they're still having their financial issues. Okay.
Okay, I will get that answer on the 180 days.
Okay, great. Income survey update?
Yeah, we are currently just a little above 49%. That means over the last, month and a half, we've only moved the needle about 20% or so. We are, and so I'd like to go back to USDA, the state, and ask them if they would accept the 50% use or 50%. I don't believe that they will, because their standard is in the range of about 75% that they needed us to be at. But I don't see us getting to 75%.
I think there are a lot of people that didn't respond because they thought it wouldn't be helpful to the town.
Yeah, do we have an idea of what we got for the responses on the 50%?
No, he hasn't, he won't share that with us yet.
Right. So,
Do we
Okay.
know the individuals who have and have not responded? Can we find that out? So we can target mail if we wanted to?
He should be able to, I don't know if he will, because it's supposed to be an anonymous.
anonymous and confidential.
Right.
I mean, I'd be almost a little uncomfortable if he would tell me
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But,
So if we can't target who has not responded, then just another mass mailing will be the only other option we have.
Yeah, but if the mass mailing goes out, you might get redundancies of some people answering twice.
Yeah, I mean, we'd have to depend on them being able.
no, he has a control mechanism that he can't do that, Mike.
So what's the harm in sending out another mailing to the people that haven't responded? But I don't think it's gonna do any good, to be honest with you.
I don't think so either.
Well, do you mind if I reach out to USDA and the state and ask
Yeah.
them?
No problem. See if they'll take the 49%.
Yeah, just tell me other people's butlers couldn't have time to get their things filled out for their employers.
Roger that.
Yeah. Okay, grant
I mean, even if it isn't helpful, it would be nice to know those numbers actually for planning purposes, for town planning purposes.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Margaret, you were moving on.
Yeah, no change in our grants, or projects. One other thing, Margaret, after you dropped off, one other thing that the Sununas talked to me about was, the land down by the Mad River, the Waterville Company land.
Uh-huh.
So they're being approached the way the town's being approached by different people to either buy the land themselves or, try to find a way to utilize the land. They have the same approach as we do with regards to the landfill issues. So I don't think you will see the Tyrell Incorporated doing anything with that land. I don't know what happens to the land when the Waterville Company goes away. We'll have to see. Does anybody have any idea who the successor Anna Signs is? What if Waterville Company goes out of business? Do you know, Mike?
Somebody has to own the land.
I think we can talk in non-public to this. point.
Okay,
Okay,
no
let's
problem.
do that. All right. We didn't have a privilege of the floor too. Do we have anything come in? Text, email, anything?
I actually had one thing come in by the YouTube chat. It was from Reggie Breckner, and she made the suggestion regarding bicycles. Perhaps to have bells on bicycles to alert people, pedestrians and such, that bicycles are coming upon them.
Okay.
So.
I don't think Belle is gonna be willing to do that, but,
Yeah,
oh, that's my dog. I'm sorry.
Oh, bell on the handlebars, no goodness. But bells on the handlebars, multiple bells.
Now, that would be something that would be good for the bikes and for the education that they give people before people go out on the bikes. To Mike's earlier point, that education piece is a big thing.
yeah, but the point that I was trying to make is it's not just the weekend hourly riders that are the problem now. We have an increased community of younger bike riders out here now.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a way we could advertise the bike rules of the road
I
someplace?
think we need to mark the roads better in signage. So one of our public safety people sees someone that can point to the sign. You know, we've asked the bike shop to educate people, and I don't think I don't know how that's gone.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry,
So-
about paragraph 15 in the memo. That was left over from last time.
Okay, so that was privilege of the floor number 2, board concerns and directives. Any?
Just FYI for everybody, I will be out of town next week.
Okay. Correspondence?
Yeah, I provided you with the delinquent tax notice.
Right.
That's good news, significantly less than last year. The sign at the post office, we already talked about the mandatory
Right.
postal service changes. Next month, one of the agenda items will be the Renewable Energy Committee will be coming in to give you an update. They've been doing some fact gathering on our facilities around here and what different options there might be for renewable energy, including car charging stations. So they are actively trying to work on that. I think that's at least car charging stations is definitely something we should be looking at. We received, correspondence-wise, we've received 4 thank you letters from our nonprofits that we annually support. So those are in. I will PDF those to you.
Okay, great. All right, well, I think we are ready to move into non-public. We have a few things to discuss in non-public, and so can I have a motion to, what?
Rich and Margaret, if you could stop by and sign the MS 535
Okay.
Sure.
and the water sewer warrant. It's here, it's out front if you'd like to.
You already caught Mike?
Yeah.
Yep.
Mike, you're first.
Sure. I'll be
I thought I
back.
didn't have to sign it. I thought I needed 2 signatures, and I thought I had avoided it. But I needed a piece of paper, and they wouldn't give it to me until I signed them.
Okay,
We have
all
a
right. So let's make a motion to go into non-public at 4:33. Second that?
This is Rich. I make a motion to go into non-public.
All right, I'll second the second motion.
Okay, all right. So we're off our public session now.
And we're all set, Judy.